Hello, these were strong good vibrations. I would like to welcome you to the conference, and I think that there's hardly to have a better intro than we had here. I was sitting in the front of this book, really, really strong. Dear Member of Parliament, dear representatives from UNESCO, from ISDN, from many other organizations, dear attendees and friends from Europe and from Africa and from Asia and from America and from Australia, they're all here. Welcome to the conference, and I'm very happy and it's a pleasure that you come to this event, engaging with diversity. And all of you who came in at daylight here in Sarajevo, I think couldn't escape the diversity. It starts already when you come in through the mountains. I was so lucky I did that with a car, so we could really go through the forests, but also if you come in with a plane, you see the Narek Alps, you see this panorama, and you see it's a capital in the middle of the hills, in the middle of the mountains, so it's really, really inviting. And our Bosnian colleagues told us when we were going through the forest, there are thousands of bears. That we didn't see one. I don't know whether it's lucky or not, but following these rivers, and these rivers every now and then disappear and create the big karst caves, which are quite famous for this region of Europe. So we have it all in a place, and if you were so lucky that you could already enter the old town, you couldn't escape the tunes and the tastes. Everything was overwhelming, and you saw there is a reason why we have conference here. It's called Engaging with Diversity. So diversity is what is leading us in this conference, and when you sit down in the old town and you have a hot tea with very sweet hot tea, and you listen to a muezzin and you look at a church and you see a synagogue, so you see that's Sarajevo, and this is basically, there's a reason why it's called Jerusalem of Europe. Yeah? Bosnia is not Bosnia-Herzegovina, is not part of the European Union, but if you look how all this develops, how all this diversity comes over you, I must say, when you're sitting there, then there's hardly a country better to imagine than Bosnia and Herzegovina, than to talk about united in diversity. Yeah? This is, on the one hand, it's overwhelming, and it's for us something like when we come from outside, it's one colorful picture, it's one unity, but on the other hand, of course, the interesting, the fascinating thing is to look behind this picture and to think, okay, what is keeping these people together in these different cultures? How could they proceed for centuries? How could they keep all their identities? And we also know there were conflicts, so how did these conflicts come up? What can we learn from that? What can we learn from the diversity? What can we learn from the conflict? So there's hardly any place where we couldn't do that better than here. I'm quite sure this is so. And I think that we all can be very happy that we can do this. Also, against the background of developments in Europe, it is very important to think, if you have such a colorful, amazing whole picture, what can you do that it doesn't turn into gray? Yeah, and it's a good place to study and to learn and to get engaged about this. Diversity, as many other things we are dealing with, is a challenge, is challenging, and we are all aware of that. We have, on the one hand, we like to come to these conferences, we like to see new faces, new people, we like to hear about new ideas, engage with new approaches and change what we do. So we are quite in this changing and diversity business, but we are not necessarily representative for all people in Europe. And you know that also everybody of us inside his or himself or herself has this idea, it could be a little bit too overwhelming, could be a little bit too much, it's a bit too challenging, I need safe ground beneath my feet somehow. So there is a challenge also in this aspect of diversity. And if you think now in which situation we are in Europe and what it needs to understand other people who might have other concerns, who might have a comfort zone that is somehow challenged by too much diversity, then it is important to think about that and to think how we can deal with that, how we can deal also with other people or other opinions about that or other feelings. And I think that is what we can basically learn as heritage interpreters. We deal with this subject of diversity. We all have shown, some history in Interpret Europe with these subjects. It basically started when we had our conference in 2016 in Belgium, when we had the conference called Heritage Interpretation for the Future of Europe, which was quite in this period, you know, where Europe was really, the European Union was really on a test bench, and we thought we need to deal more intense with the subject. We sent a call from Mechelen at that time, from our conference, and 1 year later we developed this Engaging Citizens with Europe's Cultural Heritage initiative, which brought us the Altiero Spinelli Prize, much recognition at the European level. And the year after we were in Hungary dealing with heritage and identity. And so you can see this, what we do now, this conference Engaging with Diversity, as one stepping stone on this longer journey. And I'm sure, as in the other conferences we had before, we will come up with some very interesting findings here. We all know that we shouldn't look at heritage just from a nostalgic point of view. We all love heritage. I think that's why we are together in such an organization. But mainly we shouldn't look at heritage from the point of view, what can we learn of it? What can others learn of it? How can we encourage others to reflect upon it, to think about it, to deal with it? And I know that's always a little bit provoking statement, but please remember that without interpretation, heritage would not be possible. We make heritage. For the interpretation we do, it comes to heritage, and heritage has the potential to influence people to think about what to do in the future with it, and that's our job. So we're in the right place, the right time. Prepared a lot of activities. We have 3 keynote speeches. We have dozens of workshops and presentations, which all of you prepared for us. We have, of course, our study visits, which are really, really important because we believe that at the very sites where we are, if we discuss things there, if we get an exchange there, it's much more intense than we study things from books or so. So you can believe that there's a lot on offer in this direction as well. And I'm sure we will have a fascinating few days here. Before I open it, I would like to remind to at least a few people here who contributed that this can be possible. I would like to start with Bettina and her people, her team, who really did a lot of engagement here. Bettina came here last year and visited Sarajevo and tried to get an orientation. Jelena, our country coordinator, Bosnia and Herzegovina, was the one who brought it forward, said we can do it in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and we were a little bit like, It was all pretty new for us, so it was sort of a challenge. And yes, we said we want to, and you know her energy and her dynamic to bring things forward. I'd like to also thank Stuart Frostberg with his team always, Stuart, reviewing the papers, which is something which is really happening in the back. Nobody really notices, but it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of careful work needed for this. Mary Banks puts it all together in the proceedings that go online that are available for you. So and Peter is going for the scholarships. Yeah?
And other things.
And other things. And the scholars who donating, yes. But I think at the very prominent place, I want to thank, and I really want to thank and invite you for an applause for 2MB and Jelena, who really put all things together. And from the first moment when I came here, I saw how she was organizing, jumping around. Thanks a lot for doing this for us in a very short time. Yes, I think it's time now to lift the curtain and to start the conference, and I'm very happy to open the conference here with Heritage and Diversity, and want to have a little bit an overview where we are coming from, and Bettina agreed to do something like that.